The conference finals are in full swing and the action increases from game to game. This is where the contenders, that's big time here in Phoenix, are separated from the pretenders. To give you some skin in the game, DraftKings will be offering free-to-play pools every day of the basketball playoffs, offering players a free shot at up to $10,000 in total prizes. Yep, that's right. Up to $10,000 in total prizes are up for grab each day. The best part, it is completely free to play. The DraftKings free-to-play pools are easy to enter. Just download the DraftKings app, go to pools, and choose from a wide variety of free contests for an opportunity to win cash prizes. All you have to do is answer a handful of questions around what you think is going to happen during that day's games and track your results throughout the evening. Questions will range from what team will hit the most three-pointers to which team will score first. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings app now and use promo code TBPN when you sign up to get your free shot at up to $10,000 in total prizes every day of the basketball playoffs. Head to DraftKings Pools page to get your shot at huge cash prizes. That's promo code TBPN for a limited time only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for full details.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzrow here, the voice of NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. Welcome to the Solar Panel. Tonight's matchup, Espo versus the Silver Fox versus Caramel Thunder. Ooh, Boomer Shakalaka. Ahoy, ahoy.
Game 2, NBA Finals, Phoenix, Arizona. Your Suns win by a total of 10 points over the Milwaukee Bucks in a game in which, from inside the arena, at least how I saw it, they didn't look like they played exceptionally well. They looked like they were having a hard time navigating some of the adjustments that the Bucks threw at them, and the Bucks were pushing the Suns into the game plan that they wanted to. But guess what? The Suns play a championship-level style of basketball. They can beat you in numerous ways. And tonight, it was with the three ball. I'm not going to verify this stat. I just saw it on Twitter briefly while walking around after the game, but I believe the Suns scored the second most ever three-pointers made in an NBA Finals game with 20, behind, I believe, only Golden State's 24 a few years ago. Again, this is a team that is deep, that has the ability to beat you in so many ways. And tonight in Phoenix, they did it once again. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Suns Jam Session and Suns Solar Panel Podcast. My name is John, a.k.a. Darth Voida, and I just want to give a shout-out to everybody who was at the game tonight. All of the different Jamsters who came up and said hello. Seeing Flex from Jersey, seeing Justin and Paul from Fanning the Flames, Dan Duarte from the Coast to Coast podcast, all the Jamsters who came up and said hi. I know I'm forgetting so many of you, but it was so much fun being at this game and watching this team win and take a 2-0 lead in the NBA Finals. I'll do my best to talk through this one. I was screaming and yelling like an idiot because I am an idiot. I'm going to bring in my fellow idiot, somebody who's tromping on Doritos over there.
What's up?
That's Matthew. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for all the Jamsters in the bathroom too. Two of them that notices me. So it was great, man. What a great game. Thanks to your mom, Mama Voida, bringing us to the game tonight. Last row, you could tell all our voices are probably gone tonight. But it was incredible, man. I couldn't ask for anything else.
Yeah, we were screaming from the last row, thinking that they could hear us down on the court. And you're right, it was awkward. Every time you go to the bathroom, someone would be like, "Oh, hey, what up, man? Voida, Lissy, some chance to spot this." Like, I'm holding it.
It was either when I was a cam girl, or else from this podcast. So.
It's either or. It's one of the two. So, welcome. We saw again. Saul was there tonight. Saul, how you feeling? How's the voice, my friend?
Oh, my voice is fine. Yeah, I was good. I didn't do a lot of screaming. I think I had a little bit of a nervous energy tonight. So, I was expecting to go there in work mode. And so I never really got hyped up like that. As you can see, I was wearing this at the game, so I wasn't even in Suns colors. So, it was a last minute change of plan. So, I mean, I was more observing than I was cheering and leading them on, but everybody else where I was at, they were doing just fine in replacing me.
I'll tell you another guy who's going crazy. That was Greg Esposito. Espo, let's hear that voice, man. I know it's not 100%.
1, 2, 3. I'm going to be doing that in my sleep tonight. That was fun. It didn't really impact Giannis that much by the end, but it was still fun to do. Unlike Saul, who was living the fancy life, I was up in the nosebleeds where my people live. Literally.
Lakers fans would tell you, act like you've been there before, okay?
Well, I am acting like I've been there before. The very top row of the arena. This wall here, if you're watching us, I had the wall of section 214 right there as well, and it was the best damn seat in the house. I loved it so much, Voida, that I'm going to ask you, literally, I'm not kidding about this, to paint a picture of my view from that based off of the photo I took. That was how much fun I had. Bucket list item checked off. And thank God they got the win, because I realized I had opened my mouth last episode and insinuated I was a jinx. And if they had lost, that would not have been a good thing.
Well, you weren't a jinx. None of us were. The Suns were 1-0 with all of us in attendance at the same time tonight. And Espo, you don't have to send me a picture of what your seats look like, because we had the same thing. I literally could touch the roof of the stadium. It was right there. They had like a Wi-Fi thing right above me and some pipes. And if I went like this, I would hit it. And I was like, oh shit, I probably just knocked off somebody's Wi-Fi. So, I mean, we were up in there, but again, best seat in the house.
Yeah, we had the the fire sprinklers, and the guy next to me kept pounding on it. And I'm like, he's gonna set these things off. Like we're all gonna be wet here, like Book in a second, because he's pounding on the sprinklers up in the rafters. But man, it couldn't have been more fun. There's some things to definitely work out after game 2 if you're the Suns, but look, they got to go 2-3 the rest of the way to win a championship. At worst, 2-3.
It's crazy to think. So, as Espo mentioned, plenty to talk about on this edition of the Suns Jam Session and the Suns Solar Panel Podcast. If you're watching along live on YouTube, please subscribe. Smash that thumbs up button. Lets everybody else know this is the best place to watch Phoenix Suns content while you're here. If you are along in the Super Chat, you can donate and try to get us to some flights to Milwaukee to Game 4 to maybe close this thing out. Who knows? I don't know. But you can be, who knows? That's big over here. But that's a possibility, okay? That's a possibility.
Sure.
I think they accept cheese too, man, to get over there.
Cheese or chalupas that are half eaten, and I will continue eating throughout this entire podcast. You can become an elite jamster or a flaming baller by clicking the join button or following the link in the description. Again, if you're listening on the Bright Side of the Sun Podcast Network, please subscribe, rate, and review. You guys going to be chugging with the fellas tonight?
Yeah. I got one more in me, I think.
You got one more in you? I got one more in me. I got water after that.
Oh, is that a Diet Coke?
All night. Yeah, what are you drinking, Espo? What are you doing?
It's a Coke Zero. Let's see if I can.
You're crazy. So, chugging with the fellas, Saul, you're going to have to entertain the folks while we're making the chugging sounds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
That's a lot more pressure than I thought.
All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this Game 2 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks for your Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are now up 2-0 in the NBA Finals after a 118-108 victory over the Milwaukee Bucks, the second consecutive game in which the Phoenix Suns have scored 118 points. And they did so in a very different manner than they did in Game 1. Going around the board, let's just start with Saul because he's got the smoothest voice tonight. Tell me what your initial thought was after watching that first quarter in which the Suns made 9 field goals and 8 of them were from 3.
A little bit of fool's gold. I felt like, okay, well, this is good, but it's not sustainable. So I was a little bit nervous, but I don't know. There's something about this team where I just feel like they just kind of work themselves into a lather, and then they just start going, and then they're on like kind of like this high level cruise control. And there's some dips for sure, and Milwaukee tried to make their runs, but man, it was basically over in the third quarter again, just like last game. And when you have Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday playing like they did, especially Chris Middleton, who only had 4 points in the first half, unbelievable. Like, it was Drew Holiday last game, and then they swap, and now it's Chris Middleton, and Giannis gets 42. You think if he has 42 and anybody else helps him get 20 points, I mean, you think they're in the game, but they're not even close. And Giannis isn't the type of dude that's going to be able to rally you back. He needs to be close, or he needs to be ahead, because he's not hitting those dagger threes to keep you in the game. That's just not his game. So Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday have been off. That's also been because of the defense that the Suns have played. So my biggest takeaway was how ineffective those two have been so far in this series, and I was happy to see it continue.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, Giannis had a historic third quarter in terms of the way he played, and it still wasn't enough. Like, he came out and he proved he's good to go, but none of his supporting cast played as if they were. And kudos to the Suns defense. Look, they know Giannis is going to get his. There's not a lot that you're going to be able to do to stop him, but if you can stop the other two out of their big three, you're going to be in a good position. And that's what they did the last two games. They got to keep it going. It's going to be tough, and it gets much tougher with Torrey Craig's knee contusion. With the way they had to help him off the court, I cannot imagine that there's any chance he plays in game 3. And that means we're now in emergency mode. It's an emergency shelter mode at Kaminsky Cove, because Frank Kaminsky's going to have to get some minutes now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's going to have to if they want to play big at all.
Yeah, and honestly, you don't really want to see Frank too much, but you want to see a lot of Cam Johnson. But you're right, Frank is going to get a lot of minutes, or maybe a lot for him, which would be like 8 minutes a game. Giannis, if he's shooting, I mean, he scores 42 points tonight, but when you're watching the game, you're just like, yeah, let him get away with it. He got to the line 18 times. I mean, 18 attempts. So John and I were talking, and we're just like, it's kind of a makeup from last game, because I feel like the only thing the Bucks had on Twitter was just to go after the refs and how many free throws they didn't have. The Suns didn't shoot more than 10, or did they have 12 or 14 free throw attempts? But the first half was like nothing.
They had 6 going into the final 2 minutes when they became hack-a-mechanic.
Yeah. So, I mean, they did not get to the line. So I God bless Craig. Hopefully nothing happens, because honestly, he's been a big factor in this series. The last series, he's going to play. He would play a lot of big minutes this game, but 8-2. I feel like just getting that dunk against Giannis again, it happened in the first quarter, really kind of gets him going. I mean, offensively wasn't really there, but defensively he did a freaking really great job. I know 42 points looks like a lot, but everything that he was giving up to Giannis, and even the other guys that were guarding him, even Jay Crowder, it was difficult shots for Giannis, and he made them. And it looked like kind of like the old Giannis. And the Suns, they pulled it off, even with the old Giannis coming back to score 42.
Yeah, I think, when you look at how are you going to beat this team, when they come out and, the Bucks did what they wanted to do in that first quarter. I feel like that was the adjustment quarter. And essentially what they did is they took away the mid-range from the Suns. They closed off the interior, and they said, hey, you have to shoot threes. That's what the Suns did. They shot threes. They made 8 of them. Mikal Bridges had a really hot start. And on the offensive end, they were going to attack with Giannis, and you saw that all night long. And as the night continued, again, you mentioned it, 42 points from Giannis, 11 of those coming from the free throw line. But when he doesn't have the support around him, again, that's what Bucks fans are going to have to lean back on and question. It's like the Suns have such a complete roster that they have the capability to sustain the runs that the Bucks were on. Because, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. After the first quarter, you're sitting there and you're like, you know what? The Suns team feels like they should be down a ton. They're down 3.
I agree. Absolutely. And that's kind of the reason why I feel like this Suns in 4 chant, I feel like I'm not going to poop on anybody's parade. You guys are all excited for sure. And everybody in Suns Nation is excited. But the Suns in 4 chant, I'm like, okay, well, I could easily see, based on how Milwaukee is played and the amount of shots that they have missed, how going to Milwaukee will solve some of those issues, and give them the boost that they need to be a little bit more competitive in these games, and maybe even have a lead in the fourth quarter. I could see that, and I'm not going to dismiss them as some bottom feeder East Conference team, because they definitely are not. All you need is Chris Middleton to give you freaking 15 points.
Yeah.
And they're right there in the game. And he could barely even,
and he will in this series, especially going back to Milwaukee. Like, get ready for that game where he goes 11 for 17 from the field, gets to the line, and he scores 40 on you like it's nothing.
But the problem, like you were kind of mentioning, is like, okay, but once they get past the big three of theirs, then who's going to step up? And they need that one more person off the bench to help. Connaughton's not, producing.
Connaughton was the only one who did produce tonight. He went 4 for 9 from 3. But outside of him, there was nobody.
But you need more when Middleton's not producing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then Bobby Portis didn't do anything tonight.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's terrible all the way, 1 through 8 for them compared to the Suns, where, Mikal Bridges drops 27 on you. You're like, I don't know what we're going to do tonight, fellas.
But that's the thing. It's pick your poison with this Suns team. Okay. So first game, it was a steady diet of mid-range jumpers from CP3, from Devin Booker.
Sorry.
It looks like they let him out of the old folks' home.
Drinking Dave showed up.
I love that hat though, man.
This is an old folks thing, man. I got the whiskey on the rocks.
Where did you get the hat?
30-year-old hat from my dad.
Wow.
My dad was a huge Suns fan. And he had the Suns room. He had all the Suns memorabilia. He gave me half the shit that's behind me. The pennant right over my shoulder here, that's from my dad. He got that signed by the 93 team. Wow. Oh, yeah. No, the last time the Suns were in the finals, I got shit all over my office from that.
Wow. I don't think it's shit. I think it's some pretty cool stuff.
No,
it's awesome, man.
Turn it wrong way. That's Charles Barkley hitting a shot over. Look at who's in that picture.
Michael,
MJ,
Jeffrey,
Grant,
Jordan.
DJ.
Wow.
Damn, man.
Looks like it tonight.
If you keep going over a little bit more, he's got a corduroy couch.
Yeah, that's covered in plastic.
Couch lately. I'll tell you that. No, the foam fingers even from back in '93. I'm pretty sure. No, this is some.
I got the foam finger last week at the doctor, so it's all good.
Late night Suns lunar panel.
I'm 40.
I needed one.
Got them hemorrhoids too.
Yeah.
Huh?
Hey, wait till you're 50, man. Hey, let's go all the way.
Off the rails again, gentlemen.
Leave
Leave it to this show to be the most professional show on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Whoa. There we go.
Like Jax on Vanderpump Rules over here.
I'm keeping it cool tonight. Keeping it cool.
Can I get us back on track real quick?
Yes, please, Saul.
Welcome back.
Is this about the Suns and not Dave?
If anybody in the chat mentions play sticks over Frank and
I know. You know it's coming.
Well, I mean... Is that a bad idea?
To play next year.
Dude, yes.
Next year.
If Sticks earned any level of trust, he'd be out there now.
Yeah. But exactly.
Or Cameron Johnson. Every time he's out there, I feel secure.
Cameron Johnson at the 5. Well, and Dave and I were talking about it before the game. We, a little bit about how that's kind of when Dario went down, all the Sticks people start coming out of the woodwork.
Sticks. Yeah.
And it just doesn't make the Sticks people are coming out of the Sticks.
The Sticks people.
And that's exactly right. If there was any semblance of trust for him in any capacity from Monty Williams, he would be in there getting some sort of minutes at outside of garbage time at the end of playoff games. And he's just not there yet. You have to think that he is the long-term solution at power forward for the Suns. He's not the 2021 NBA final solution at
Why
center.
Are we spending time breaking down Sticks? We're
because
up 2-0 in the NBA
lost
finals.
Torrey Craig.
Hey man, one more button. I got
one more button for Dave.
I tried to start the chant again.
One more button.
What
Two
is
more buttons.
what is going on tonight?
Why is there an undershirt? You should not have an undershirt.
Matt,
No, no.
You
A real
stop right
professional
now,
wears a
Lissy,
fucking
before you
undershirt
start going
underneath
crazy.
his
All right.
dress
I'm,
shirt.
I'm keeping it cool tonight, guys.
He's keeping it
Oh
cool.
my God. What
Only
is
10 beers.
happening?
So the Suns are up 2-0 in the NBA Finals. This is fantastic. It's a great feeling. It's great to see the stadium filled with crazy Suns fans. I think my wife had more fun than any person in the arena tonight. She was just having
Jimmy
so
Eat
much
World,
fun.
she was enjoying it, dude.
Was she? Yeah, I was
Yeah.
getting hot dogs and beer during Jimmy Eat World, so I missed that performance. But when I look back at this game,
You were
and
the
I
sacrifice going to get the food and drinks
every
for people.
time I always miss.
He almost gave
shit.
it off to me. He's like, hey, go get 5 hot dogs.
Yeah, because I was
Bring
getting
it
all the
back.
beers,
Oh, whatever.
Yeah,
and then I did both.
you should have sent your little brother.
No, he's a bitch. So sorry, inappropriate, Saul. I'm sorry. Sorry.
You know, so this I have become the moderator of this freaking joint effort because we got Yahoos on here that want to throw out names. Like, come on, guys.
It's
Come
Voida.
on
It's Darth
now.
Voida. It's all Darth Voida.
Come
Get
on,
us back on
man.
track, Saul. We need you.
Okay, so in the second half, all right, the Suns are up by 8 at half. They
11.
come out. They were up by 11. Oh yeah, they hit the 3. That's right.
Yep.
Or was it a 3 or 3-point play? Anyway,
Is
it
that
doesn't matter.
better?
Up by
Is that
11.
better, everybody.
Sure. Yes. Booker.
Over your face, please, Dave.
Dave
Oh,
Booker.
please keep us on track.
Dave Booker is in the house. So anyway, so yeah, they come out in the second half. I was really fascinating to see that Drew Holiday never stopped his intensity as opposed to a game one. And I thought that the matchups tonight with Drew Holiday, you could see Drew was like, hey, he was on a mission to be more aggressive with specifically with Chris Paul, but it just didn't matter. It just didn't matter. Chris Paul still got his spots, and he didn't even play that well in the fourth. He was trying to close them out and couldn't get the job done. But the team ball, the one series or the one possession, I forget, it was in the fourth quarter. I swear there was like 49 passes, and then finally DA gets the and one underneath the basket, and I just felt like at that moment that was game, because even if the Bucks tried to make a run, the Bucks knew like there's nothing we could do. Like they just had 18,000 people touch the ball. Everybody in the arena touched the ball in 24 seconds, and then they scored. So that's why the Suns are the Suns, and the Suns are in a good position right now going to Milwaukee.
Yeah,
That
that's what we
play
talked about.
It's going to be what's going to be
ahead.
played back over and over again. Is that one play with all those passes in that 20 seconds? It was 10 passes in 20 seconds. That's going to epitomize the Suns season right there. After the game, Mikal Bridges and Devin Booker got to the podium together, and they both said that play hyped them up more than any other play. Knowing and finishing, DA finishing that, they talked about it in the locker room at halftime. That play was the most exciting play of their year.
Well,
great.
it epitomizes who they are. It's get everybody involved. Get that ball moving. It was a thing of beauty. And look, like I was saying before Dave showed up, it was, it's a pick your poison thing. In game one, they let the mid-range shots happen because they were switching on defense. In game two, they tried to take that away, so they found the 3-point shooters throughout the game. Game three is that the DA game where they try to take away the threes. They're looking at the mid-range. It leaves DA open, cutting to the hoop. I mean, there's just so many ways this team can beat you that it makes it tough to adjust, because when you adjust to one thing, it opens something else up. It becomes something else that becomes the focal point for this team. And if Giannis doesn't get any help, I don't see how the Bucks can do much defensively to fix things, because there's just always an offensive option with the Suns. So unless their offense gets going, I don't think you're going to out adjust on defense to make enough of a difference.
And Milwaukee's offense has never got going. They don't have an offense that gets going.
No, if they hit free throws, though, I mean, if Giannis all of a sudden wakes up and realizes
he got all of them.
I mean,
he got so many free throws in the third quarter, and they still lost.
Well, I think he missed 7 as a whole, or the team missed 7
that's
as a
correct.
whole.
Yeah, 18,
He
11
was
of
11
18.
for 18. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if he makes those, we're talking a different game. You're talking a clencher at the end instead
That's
of
like saying, if Frank Kaminsky made all of his shots, no, Giannis doesn't make all of them. So
I
don't
get
say
it.
if he makes them.
I'm just saying that's
the
right
point.
now. That's what the Bucks are looking at is Giannis becomes a miracle free throw shooter, or they get their all 3 of their big 3 going at the same time. That's their hope in the rest of this in the rest of the way.
I felt like Giannis sucked all the life out of their offense in that third quarter. I mean, obviously they came into the third quarter down 11, and Giannis was trying to carry them back, but everyone loses their rhythm when all it is Giannis dribble drive, Giannis dribble drive, Giannis dribble drive. Nobody else has a rhythm. Guess what games Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton were the best games of their playoffs? The 2 that they closed out Atlanta. Of course, it helped playing Atlanta. That was easier for them, and they were able to rack up some points. But those are the 2 games that Middleton and Drew Holiday were really good. But when Giannis is there, it kind of sucks up some space. And Drew even made a comment. I didn't copy down the quote word for word or anything like that. I mean, it's available, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. But he basically said that. He said it's different when Giannis is out there. There isn't as much space, and I've got to be more aggressive and find my spots better. It's like he's talking himself into being more aggressive. But it's hard when they're all basically clearing out, right? 4 on one side, Giannis on the other left, and driving in. That's their offense.
Mm-hmm. And you know who's good at free throws is Mikal Bridges, who went 8 for 8 tonight. And I was at the bar by myself waiting for someone to notice me an hour before the game. And honestly, I was looking at the screen. They were like, who's the best role player for the Suns? Who do you want to see succeed tonight? There was like a poll for Fox 10. And Mikal Bridges was on there. I'm like, I don't think Mikal Bridges is really a role player. So I don't know if he took offense to that, but tonight he totally went off, man. And he's that guy. It's like we talked about, I think, last podcast, where it's like Milwaukee, who's going to step up for them? We talked about Connaughton, Drew Holiday. Really, he did force it tonight, but they don't have that other guy that can really step up and be a threat. Like the Suns have yeah, I know, but like those are the 2, Middleton and Giannis. Middleton did not, of course, not tonight, but those,
they gave up
but
6
like,
first-round picks
it's
for
such
Holiday.
a force. It's such a force for them, though. It's like even when he's running up the court, like where we're sitting, like if he's running the opposite end, you can just see in his body language, he's trying to get it up the court and do the best he can to get over this Phoenix Suns team, and he doesn't have it, man. Like the last 2 games, he just does not have it. I'm not saying the next games he's not going to have it, but you just don't see it in him. And the Suns just have those players that can step up.
Who are you talking about again? Who doesn't have it?
Drew Holiday on offense.
Oh, I for some reason I thought you said Giannis. I was like, what?
No. I'm talking about the third guy, and the Suns have like the 10th guy really that can step up and score big. I think exaggeration there, but you know what I mean.
I think Drew tired himself out as well.
I
think him trying to guard Booker and CP3 basically by himself. I think that's why his shots were not falling earlier in the game. And then that's why you saw him make a concerted effort to drive to the basket and try to get some bunnies, because there was no other way he was going to be able to do it. He was just too exhausted. It's too much for him to try and take on, and that's going to affect both him and Middleton. Booker and CP3 are built for this. Like they just are. Whereas Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, as we're finding out, might not be.
Well, and you look at the difference between these 2 teams, and 2 of the points that everybody just hit on. For Drew Holiday to try to create defensive intensity consistently throughout an entire game equates to him not being effective on offense. And when Giannis Antetokounmpo tries to put a team on his back, it's not effective because everybody stands around and watches Giannis, because the way that he scores his points isn't versatile. It's him dribble, go to the rim, dribble, go to the rim, get fouled, slow down the game. He went 1 for 5 or 6 from 3, and everybody was begging him to take those shots. And again, I know that he dropped a 42 spot, and it'll be interesting to see what the advanced analytics have on when those points came, when DeAndre Ayton was on him. But he made some tough shots that DA forced him into, and you tip your cap to him, because that's what you want to do, is to take those tough turnaround, fall away, 11 footers. And he was doing that tonight. And then you look conversely, you look at the Suns. It's a team that moves the ball around. And, you both, many of you talked about it, about how, the most important play that the team felt was when it was just ball movement. I've said it numerous times throughout this season. I think that this team reminds me so much of, I think it's the 2014 Spurs that beat the Heat, that just were so good at defense and just so good at ball movement, and just kept tired you out with how much they passed the ball. And this team did it again tonight. Another 26 assists on 43 made shots, and you sprinkle in the fact that they made 20 of 40 threes. This is not a three-point shooting team, but we can beat you with the three ball. We're not going to do it every game. We don't rely on it, but it's another aspect of their offense that was a plus again tonight, and that's how you win the game. You win by 10 easily. Tell me you guys weren't having a good time. Tell me it got close. It got down to 6, but you always felt that this team was in control, because we're not as one-dimensional as Milwaukee has proven themselves to be, because it's Devin Booker stepping up and hitting the huge shots, but Mikal having the ability to get to the line at the end of the game and hit the free throws, and having DA down low when we need him on those and ones, and having CP3 hit those mid-range. I mean, there's just, again, it's a pick your poison with the Suns. And, I'm with you, Saul. I don't know if Suns is for. Do I have freaking sour cream? Yeah, I have sour cream.
That's all I've been looking at for like freaking 5 minutes. I've just been staring at that and laughing. I'm
That's why I don't have a mustache.
Listen,
got a happy time on his face right now.
Let's call it sour cream.
Listen, I'm eating Taco Bell during a podcast because I'm the real MVP. Let me stat Dave to get out of this embarrassing moment.
Oh, how convenient.
Okay, so here's a stat me. According to ESPN stats and info, Devin Booker and Chris Paul have combined for 113 points in their first 2 games of this finals. That is the most by a starting backcourt in the first 2 games of any finals since starters were first tracked in 1971, bitches.
Jeez.
I like the end. Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't think
Drop a button for that one.
I don't think
ESPN
ESPN said that at the end,
tweet did not have the word bitches in it. I added that.
By the way, can we never transition from you talking about sour cream on your face to stat me, Dave?
Yeah, that was
ever again.
We should go after, right?
Epic.
I never, please,
Well,
never.
Wood already got statted, but anyway.
I mean, look,
So
look,
113 points in the first 2 games of the finals. This is when Golden State went to 5 straight with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. How have they not scored 113 points in the first
this
2
is
games
also
of any
the
of those
duo.
5 straight finals?
This is also the duo that we talked about in the Western Conference Finals that went 10 for 40 and then 13 for 43 or something. I mean, look at how they've. Yes, the world is over.
Yes.
It's all burning. Look at what they're doing in the NBA Finals, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, and Devin
I did
Booker,
get a little frustrated when. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matthew.
That was
No, that was Espo.
That was,
Thank you,
really?
though. Thank you, though.
Oh, never mind.
Wow.
I
Deep voice.
did get a little frustrated when Chris Paul was
That
going
sauce
ISO
hits
ball
extra
in that
hard.
fourth quarter a little bit.
Sorry. All right. Anyways, Matthew, go ahead.
look, props to Devin
Booker.
Booker. He hit 7 3-pointers again tonight. He can never do it in the regular season, but has done it twice in the playoffs. So, and I actually thought they should have gone to him more there in that fourth, because he had the hot hand. And I don't know if it was because the Bucks were playing such close defense or what, but I thought they should have fed him more even. We may have seen a couple more out of him there, but he was so great in what he was able to do offensively tonight from long range. And again, he's not traditionally your 3-point shooter on this team, but he did it because it was what was available and came through tonight. Impressive.
Well, and Matthew, what were we saying to each other in the fourth quarter when Chris Paul kept turning the ball over? We're like, let Devin Booker.
It was 4 turnovers.
Yeah, and let him keep being the primary ball handler, because it was a Devin Booker game, and he had the juice tonight, right? He ended with how many points, Matthew?
It was 31, but it seemed kind of easy for him a little bit. Like, he was just so comfortable. So the first quarter, Chris Paul always has to get those nerves out. So I don't know what that is, but Booker in the first quarter should always have the ball. This fourth quarter, usually like Chris Paul cooked it up last game in the third quarter. He got really hot. The fourth quarter, though, tonight, it just seemed like, Paul was like kind of throwing the ball away. I'm not getting negative, but there was 4 turnovers in the fourth where he just kind of just stopped the dribble and threw the ball away. And Book just seemed relaxed. He seemed like he knew what he wanted to do. So we were saying back and forth, it's like, Book had the ball, man. This is his team. He can close it out now. He just has that look. He has that feel right now on the court to where I trust him just as much as Cameron Johnson. And he's closing the game out, man.
Yeah, Chris Paul had 6 turnovers for the game, and I felt like it was even more than that, but they only credited him with 6, and that's the most he's had in almost 3 months.
Jeez, another stat me, Dave.
It's scary. He has guys to back him up, though. So,
but again, that's the beauty of this team is their depth. Because when one guy isn't playing well, another guy is going to come right down and pick him up. And that was Devin Booker tonight. Like you said, Matthew, ended with 31 points, had 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 12 for 25 from the field, 7 for 12 from deep. And I mean, every time I felt like Milwaukee got close, it was a Devin Booker 3. Mm-hmm. He looked fantastic tonight. He's the one who got the crowd going and kept the crowd engaged. And I want to give a shout out to Jay Crowder, 11 points, 10 rebounds tonight. 3 for 5 from deep, 4 from 8 overall. He had the first 3 of the night, and he's the one who kind of started everything. And it was interesting because I've been on a couple different programs this week talking about Suns. And, some people were asking about Jay Crowder. They're like, well, is he a liability? It's like, no, man. Like, he is so good at what he does defensively. Anything you get on offense is a bonus, and that's the way it's been all year. And when you get those 11 points from him and he hits those big threes and then 10 rebounds, I mean, Ayton finished with 10 and 11. I mean, you look statistically, it's almost a wash between the two. So just shout out to Boss Man 99. He had a fantastic game tonight, I thought, especially the way that he bodied up Giannis again.
Yeah, he did the little things as he usually does, and very impressive from him. Shout out to Cam Payne, too. There was a play where Giannis looked like he was going to get, an open look after a steal and an open dunk, and he poked that ball away, and it kind of changed things. It felt like that may have been a momentum swing off of one of those turnovers that you guys were talking about, that it might shift things in favor of the Bucks, and instead it was an energy play from Cam Payne. I mean, he didn't have a huge impact, but that one play was huge in and of itself.
Yep.
It's
a good game.
It's a good game. Cam Payne has 17 steals on backcourt almost violate. I mean, Dave just has the amazing stats. So, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I did like how Cam Payne tracked down his own turnover with another
yes
with a steal of his own. That was great. So that let's see. Jay even hit a 2. Carmigos in the comment. It's a good game for the Suns when Jay Crowder hits a freaking 2-pointer, because every time that guy does anything but catch and shoot, and that 2-pointer was on a catch and shoot, by the way. That's the only reason he made it. I think Jay Crowder's shooting approximately minus 1,000% if he puts the ball on the ground before he takes a shot, or even looks down, or even does any kind of hesitation or anything at all. If he catch and shoots, that's in. If he misses, if he does any hesitation at all, sidestep, whatever, that ball's not even going to barely hit the rim. So good on Jay Crowder doing a catch and shoot 2-pointer tonight.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Well, like when he came out, him and Mikal were hitting it from 3, and what's weird is like Mikal's 3 really got him to the rest of the game, right? He got into the paint, he started doing his little fadeaway 2-pointer in the paint that's really unguardable. So if he can do that, a lot opens up for the Suns. And there's a few threes. I think it was from the left side, and I was like, don't take that. Just do the pump fake and go in. He was automatic from the right side though, but it was like the left side that was kind of off. But he started pulling it down, taking it to the rim, and doing those fadeaways. So that was huge, especially when like you have like Ayton that wasn't really doing much on offense. He wasn't really getting fed. There's other guys you can go to, and like before I said, like the Suns are unlimited really with who they can go to, what offense they can get from these guys. And it's just I don't know if you guys ever projected Mikal Bridges scoring 27 points in a finals game, but the last series he wasn't really there. So it's like about time, like he's going to step up, and he's here in the finals doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, he's not putting the kind of defensive effort that he had to against
Exactly.
the Clippers, so he's got that he can expend it on the other end of the court, and he had the hot hand tonight. And look, it's just the selflessness of this team. You can have a game where Campaign drops 29, another game where Mikal does. Jay Crowder could drop in the 20s at any point. Like I think we may see that kind of game from Cam Johnson if he gets more minutes because of all the injuries to the bigs. Like there's just so many guys that could get hot, and you can ride that hot hand with this Suns offense. And then, just the team defense is spectacular. So,
well, and I know that if Cam Johnson gets more minutes, that Matthew is going to go crazy because that's every time Cam Johnson does anything,
he had like one bad pass tonight, but that was it. Like,
but Matthew was like screaming,
automatic.
like just how he was professing his love from section 230, row 14, as loud as he could for Cam Johnson anytime he did anything. As well he should, because Cam Johnson has been playing fantastic in this playoff run. We were mentioning it at the back end of the season after he hurt his wrist. He had a few off games. I think I wrote a piece for Brightside. I'm like, what's wrong with Cam Johnson?
You said to bench him for life.
Not this guy. I'm a
It was after your article about like how he should start, and then all of a sudden he just like dropped off. That's usually how it works.
Well, no, it's Dario Saric. I said Dario Saric should get the sixth man of the year, and then he just played like shit the rest of the season.
And then you got him injured.
Did you also do the Frank Kaminsky should start article? I don't know.
No, I don't think that was me.
I did the podcast version of that. That was me. By the way, to Jay in the chat, I'm not slurring. I'm losing my voice right now. That's what's going on.
Slurring, though, right?
Hey, Espo, do you remember when you and me and Tim on the old solar panel setup actually gave Frank Kaminsky the highest grade for last year?
Yes, but the whole premise was the guy who's exceeded your expectation. Like,
I know.
Based on
but we still get crap for it. We gave Frank Kaminsky the highest grade on the team because the rules for the grading was how much they exceeded expectations, and all of us thought Frank would be released in training camp.
By the way, we may need Frank to be the best player in a few-minute stretch.
Look, there's a sign. There's a sign that I was watching. I was watching for that tonight. Frank did not play until the second half.
Mm-hmm.
If Monty really wanted Frank to be that backup, man, Monty really pulled a fast one on us, didn't he? He did a press conference where he said, Frank is really good, and then Abdel, Nate, or Dooley, he's pretty good in the post, and he can defend it. I mean, I was like, what? And I put something on Brightside going, excuse me, I don't think that's going to happen, but here you go, guys. Here's the quotes. And I just I was very happy to see that they just stayed with Jay. And I tried to get a question in when they were talking to Jay earlier tonight, but I didn't get a chance to because all these freaking national people are taking up the question time. But anyway, Jay didn't even get the right question asked of him, but that would be, when did you know you were going to be basically DeAndre Ayton's backup? And Jay had 10 rebounds in this game. So
he did. You can see him battling down there. It's tough. I feel like this whole playoff series, or this whole playoff run, including this championship run, it's just like who can get the rebound. A lot of it's team rebounding. So him down there means a lot. And even last game when I think he scored 1 point, right? Even then, it's just like, even all the podcasts I listened to is like, he still had a great game. He did defensively. He's always there. That's why I always want him in the starting lineup. Who cares if he goes 0 for 7 from 3? He does a lot more on the court than people realize, and he helped the Suns team tonight.
Well, you look at overall offensive rebounds, and the Suns were killed on the offensive rebound. I mean, they had 11, but there's 18.
Most of that was the first half.
Yes, correct. And then Torrey Craig getting hurt. I think we'll talk about adjustments here momentarily. You did say that Frank Kaminsky, you thought that he'd be released in training camp. He was by the Kings, and then the Suns picked him back up. But the guy that he'll be backing up, let's talk about him real quick.
Watch 2021.
It was 10 points. It was 11 rebounds. It was 4 for 10 shooting, 40% from the field, from DeAndre Ayton. It was and in 42 minutes played. So he put the minutes in, and you knew that he was going to be the focal point of the Bucks defensive, attack, if you will, on the interior with both Brook Lopez and Giannis in there. They collapsed on him numerous times. What do you see from DA, and what do you think that he does moving forward to kind of, swing the pendulum back in the other way?
So we didn't get a chance to talk to him. I don't think so. No. But basically he had a bad game. He'll tell you he had a bad game. He was met at the top on, like, he was trying to go for a couple of dunks and he was met at the top. He's used to being met at his waist because he pulls the ball down and they're always grabbing at that. Then as long as he gets the ball over his head, he's usually not contested there. So I think he was a little surprised on that. He was surprised that the Bucks basically sunk into the paint. Their entire defense sunk into the paint tonight. That's how the Suns made 20 out of 43s, because the Bucks defense was all about opening that up and daring the Suns to make them, and they did. So it's pick your poison. You guys were talking about it when I just got jumped on here. It's pick your poison. The Suns barely made any threes in the last game, and then the Bucks made most of theirs. Suns won. Now the Bucks said, nope, we're not going to give you the paint anymore. Ayton's not going to get 22 and 19 on us or 20 on us. Great. Okay. We'll just make our threes, so it's just so easy for these guys, for these Suns to figure out how to win. Big props to Mikal Bridges for doing well in this game. And, basically Mikal, you mentioned earlier, Matthew, you don't see him as a role player. Talent wise, he's not a role player, but mentality, he really likes his role, just like DA really likes his role. And, next year will probably be the year that'll be like DA's was this year, where Mikal grows even more into his own player. But right now, he needs the rest of the guys there to take attention off of him, because he cannot really create his own shot. He can get to a couple of spots, and he's added a couple of spots on the floor that he more so than he had a year ago. But he's still really dependent on not being a defensive team's focus. And that's okay, because he's excelling in that role. DeAndre Ayton excels in the role. The guys who are not role players, there's only two of them on this entire team. It's Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
Look, in terms of DA tonight, I think he was in his head. It just seemed like one of those games where he overthought things, complained a little too much.
Didn't want to get in foul trouble either.
Yeah. Well, I think he's certainly hyper aware of that now with Dario Saric out, but it felt like he was complaining a little bit too much. Just love that. I heard, I obviously didn't see, we were all at the arena, but I heard there was a clip of Monty talking to him that ABC had, where he basically told him, leave the past in the past, focus on getting the little things, do the little things you do well. And then that was where
Hakuna Matata.
Ain't no
what
worries.
a wonderful phrase. But
it ain't no passing craze. It's our plum free.
You and I look like Pumbaa. They look like Timon, so it works here. But I think that
Monty did Timon to DA's Pumbaa.
Yes,
all right.
But I think it got him to focus, right?
Oh, that's perfect, isn't it? DA being Simba.
Simba.
Wow.
It is time. Remember who you are.
Espo, please.
You're my son and the one true
Sorry,
king.
Espo.
Espo, you must take your place in the circle of life.
Before I paint you, continue.
That was Rafiki. Go ahead.
I think that Monty got him refocused, because that was, from what I understand, was right around the stretch where he came in and got some key rebounds, got a couple blocks, did the little things again. So I have faith that we will see a more focused DeAndre Ayton in the upcoming next few games. And the Bucks, I can't imagine play the same strategy again. I mean, maybe they will, and just hope the Suns don't hit from deep, but it does not seem like that was the best strategy for them, because again, same result as they got in game one. So I probably wouldn't quite do that again with DA.
Matthew, what did you see
Yeah.
from DA's body language?
First of all, thank you, Lauren, for that's a friend of mine, I think. Yeah. $10. Thank you
she's
very much,
fighting
man.
for you.
Honestly, DA, we weren't the biggest fans, right, tonight. John. I mean, he was okay for a little bit, but defensively, he got the dunk on him. Then he turned it on. Anytime Giannis wanted to take it in the hole, he was there. He was a barrier. He was a guy that can actually be a force against him, and that's what happened last game too. But he got the key plays down at the end. He got the block. He got the extra rebound to give it to Chris Paul for the three. Wasn't really the dagger, but it was to put him up pretty good. So he was in there at the end, and that's really all we asked for. And I think a lot of times when the national narrative is DA, you got to draft your center next year. You have to do all this and that based off of DA. It's a lot, and I don't know if he hears it or not, but usually the next game isn't as good. He needs a little bit more push. So there was that tonight, and I think just tonight he finished the game for us, and that's really all we needed, honestly. From hitting from three, you don't need too much from DA. You just need him to finish out the game. That's exactly what he did.
Well, and I think that, again, the job he did on Giannis in forcing him into some difficult shots was a plus. He didn't put up the statistics that he normally does, but you know what? The Suns won by 10. And he had probably one of his statistically worst games of the playoffs, and they still won by 10. Exactly.
But I still want
the
to
box
look at,
score.
I want
But if you look at the way that he
right.
played his game,
Mhm.
Giannis plenty of times would take it to the rim, especially when he was coming off of the left block. When he was driving right into the lane, going up against DA, he'd go up, DA was right there, and he'd have to pass out. And you kept seeing that time and time again. So again, that shot deterrence of DA was another
That's what
plus
DA doesn't
performance.
get credit for is the shot deterrence.
It's like it's that great statistic that doesn't
They
exist.
were floodgating in the first quarter, and DA's like, I can't get into foul trouble. I got to let this happen. They were just crashing constantly in the first quarter. Does everybody think the Bucks just decided to stop doing that the rest of the game, or maybe we should give the Suns defense a little bit of credit and DA a little bit of credit for making some changes and not letting them do that? If I'm the Bucks and I'm outscoring the Suns at one point, man, if the Suns hadn't made every one of their threes, it would have been a blowout in the first quarter. I would not have stopped, and I guarantee you, Mike Budenholzer wasn't in the sideline going, you know what, guys, that's good. Now let's just take some jumpers.
Let's
you know what?
stop, okay?
Let's drive in and let's just stop scoring at the rim. Brooke, you don't need to crash. It's okay. No, Bud did not say that. The Bucks would have won. They would have scored 100 points in the paint if they could have. DA was a huge reason they didn't. What other player on the Suns team can stop you from scoring when you're driving in the paint? Nobody. Jay Crowder doesn't have the foot speed on a drive. He can do it sometimes, but he can't do it all the time. Torrey Craig twisted his knee. Let's make sure that just because DA doesn't have the box score numbers doesn't necessarily mean he had a bad defensive game. Now, was DA down on himself? Yes, because DA feels the same way you guys do. I should get 20 points easy. I should not get my shot blocked, blah, blah, blah. Totally. That gets DA down because you know what? He's 22 freaking years old. But what he did well, regardless of how he was feeling, is he made it so the Bucks didn't get 100 points in the freaking paint tonight. They were starting to shoot jump shots, and they didn't just choose to do that.
Well, I don't think the defense gets enough credit too for Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton too. Oh, the instinct is go, oh well, they had off shooting nights twice in a row now. Like it's just the Suns defense doesn't have anything to do with that. Like right. It's overlooked, and I don't know if that's in part a byproduct from Suns fans because we haven't known great defense in this town, so it's easier to just go, oh well, they had an off shooting night. But
it's harder to recognize good defense. It really is, because was where our brains watch the ball, right? That's what we do. I mean, and we're not paying a ton of attention, especially if we're drinking a beer or two. We're just watching the ball, and so when the Suns don't have the ball, we're not watching the Suns. We're watching the other team to see if they get the ball in the hoop, and that's it. But we're not seeing how the Suns impacted that offensive possession. Yeah. A guy put on Twitter the other day, I forget which one, big account, really
Matthew.
worth a follow. No, it wasn't Matthew. Sorry, it could have been, but this one wasn't. And this guy said, just because the other team scored does not guarantee it was a bad defensive possession or something along that line.
That's
And
the
then
story
some
of DA tonight.
Right.
yeah.
And I think it was Nate Jones. I think it was Nate Jones or someone like that. The outcome of this, whether the person scored or not, does not mean it was a bad possession. That one play that we're talking about where the Suns had 10 passes in 20 seconds, where it's just whipping. The Suns would not have made 10 passes if they didn't have to. They would have taken an open shot at any point. The Bucks left them open. The Bucks played great defense on that play. But they ended up, after 10 passes, being stuck with PJ Tucker trying to stop DA on a drive.
Yeah, and that's what good
until
teams
then,
do.
They stopped everything. The Bucks had the number one defense coming in, but all we're going to remember is the 10 passes and the score by DA with the and one.
Well,
but
I think
the Bucks played really good defense there. Sorry.
I was going to say really quick. I think Mikal Bridges early in the game, like DA, kind of got schooled a little bit and kind of got warmed up, but his defense was there in the end. And honestly, after the first quarter, it picked up on Drew Holiday, whoever he was guarding, even Middleton, he was there. And honestly, the 3-pointers that were going down, the 2 in the first quarter, I think that got him going. I think these guys like DeAndre Ayton, DeAndre Ayton doesn't need offensively, but Mikal Bridges, I feel like sometimes maybe needs an offensive boost to the defensive end. I know it's weird to say, but in a game like this, if he can get that in the finals, that even adds to it, because we already know what a great defender he is and in the future will be.
Yeah, DA had a lot of great plays where he forced Giannis into fadeaways, and
We're just
Giannis,
passing out. Yep.
yeah, give it to Giannis.
Yeah,
give
give
credit
it
to Giannis. He made difficult shots. Like that's what an MVP caliber player does, and that's what Giannis did. And DA made it difficult for him. It wasn't as if he didn't, So props to the entire defense.
Ayton has
I've been
taken on 2 league MVPs in this playoffs alone.
Crazy.
One on one.
And he's 6-0 in those games.
Yes.
Stat me, Voida. Stat me.
Stat me, John. Here, give me some sour cream.
Yeah, sour cream.
Sour
Got
cream.
that chalupa, John?
All right. Hold on.
Jam star of the game.
All right, this is your reminder. If you're watching along live, let us know who your jam star of the game is in the chat, and also hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate it. I'll start with Espo. Who is your jam star of the game?
It's Devin Booker. I mean, I'm sure somebody will have a thought as somebody else. I mean, I could see Mikal, but Devin Booker took control when he needed to. Devin Booker hit the big shots when they needed him to. He did the little things tonight. Even set screens in a couple situations, which I love when he does, because he's like, I'm not even above doing these little things, setting these hard screens to free guys. It's booked for me.
What do you think, Dave?
I got to go with Mikal Bridges. I'm seeing him in the comments as well. Mikal Bridges, 27 points, playoff career high. Previously, he had 23, and I think those are his only 2 20-point games in the playoffs. And he talked about it a little bit after the game. He said that against the Clippers, he was on offense. He wasn't very good. And he said he got into his head that he just had to get a good 3, just had to get a 3. And Etuan Moore eventually went to him and said, look, man, don't worry about where the shot's coming from. Drive in, attack the closeout, get your little floater, but be aggressive with it and do good things out on the court. And don't just stand there waiting for the 3, because Bridges is so used to getting an early 3 that's open. Then the rest of his game just kind of flows from there. That against the Clippers, he just kept waiting for it and it never came, because the Clippers defense was better than the Bucks is anyway, scheme wise. Although the Bucks are better statistically, it's scheme wise. The Clippers had a better plan, and they didn't leave the guys open for 3s. So Mikal never got going because he couldn't get started. And he was just talking about how he just has to attack offensively. He's got the skills. He just thinks in his head that he's got to do the 3-pointer. So it's Mikal for me. 27 huge points, and 7 or 8 rebounds. It's huge And then he filled in also. He partially filled in for missing Dario.
Matthew?
I'm gonna go Book. I recently just watched the movie Rounders. It's a long time coming, and honestly, I
You've
was
never
thinking
seen that
like,
movie? That's such a good
no,
movie.
and it was such a good movie. And
Pay this
honestly,
man his money.
Matt Damon in that movie was booked tonight, where he was absolutely there for his friends tonight. Those big shots he was hitting, it wasn't even like me in the stands cheering. I was just sitting there. I was just like, oh my God, this guy is on our team. He's our future. Like, it was unreal. I couldn't even like cheer. I was just so astonished by how we have this guy. And I tried to cut off the voice crack right there, and it didn't happen. But,
This
yeah,
guy.
This guy, I love him.
Hey, Booker's voice actually cracked in the post game Western Conference with Rachel Nichols. So props to him growing out the Booker beard. But anyways, he's the guy. He's the guy for sure tonight for me.
Who's Rachel Nichols?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why I mentioned her name. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No, it's fine.
Awkward.
Well, and
Sorry.
again, I think that if you're inside
Dating
this,
yourself.
if you were inside the stadium tonight, it was definitely Devin Booker, because anytime the team needed those points, and if there's any opportunity for the Bucks to get back in the game, it was Devin Booker who slammed that door shut. And Matthew and I were standing right next to each other, screaming like idiots,
Touching each other.
What?
Shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, yes, shoulders to shoulder
Yeah.
is how we were touching each other.
That
Correct.
gives a different meaning to go home and love your family. All right.
Wow, he is family.
Matthew,
I know.
it's your brother-in-law.
That's
Is
what
your
I gotta
sister
do.
between you guys, or
No,
She was on John's side.
I think you killed
my-
John.
my poor wife's throwing up right now.
God. Is she really? I knew she
You
would.
knew she
Get her a
would,
hot
Matthew.
dog, dude. I told her.
On beer
get her
3,
a
I
hot
was
hey,
like,
it's
"Ah,
nice to finally
shit."
meet her tonight. Tell her I said hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She hung in there like a champ.
Oh, she did. She was partying. She's had a good time. She whipped me in the eye with that towel, right in the eye. 5 minutes left in the
Hey,
fourth quarter. I'm like,
What,
oh,
what you guys enjoy is your own business.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Did you play the
John?
Booker where you just fell down and clasped your face for 5 minutes?
and then I did a Booker from last year's. I just put a mask on and just dealt with it like a man, dude. But Devin Booker did everything. And Matthew and I were talking during the game, like there were some possessions that were bad possessions for the Suns, and Devin Booker bailed them out with a money 3.
Mhm.
And
He
I
was
think
100% tonight, man. He
God,
was
he was
perfect.
so good.
I don't think there was one bad play out there for him. It's just unreal.
he looked great. But I'm going to agree with Chris J in the chat. He says, to Mrs. Voida for bringing the jam session to the game. Thank you, Mom,
Yes.
for buying us tickets and being there with us and experiencing with us. That was so much fun. I love you to death. It was absolutely fantastic. And you got to meet all these good-looking gentlemen below me on the podcast right now. For those of you who are watching, if you're listening, they're to my left and my right. Sure, why not?
Up, down, left, right.
Whatever, just wherever you picture
On
us.
the other
you
side
know.
of Matthew.
But that being said, game 3 is coming up. It's going to be a Sunday game, so now we have a couple days in between the next game. It'll be 5:00 on Sunday. Real quick, what adjustments need to happen? I think the Torrey Craig is going to be the biggest kind of story, because we're really starting to deplete that front line now. Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton behind him. It's going to be Frank Kaminsky. It's going to be interesting to see what those. Yeah, exactly. It's Lucy. So I mean, we really have to start thinking about that. But what are your guys' thoughts as we move into game 3 against the Milwaukee Bucks? What adjustments need to occur for this team to go up 3-0 in the NBA Finals?
Play DeAndre Ayton every minute. As long as he's not in foul trouble, to hell with it. Let's not get into our
Just
fate
close
may be
this
in the hands of
motherfucker out.
Frank
Yep.
Kaminsky. I mean, as much as I love the guy, I just, unless he's out there to give you 6 fouls, or all of a sudden he starts raining threes like crazy for some reason, I just, that terrifies me. And look, everybody that wants to sit there and go, the Suns have the easiest path of anybody. The Suns have faced their
Not
own
even.
struggles too,
Mhm.
and they're facing it here in the finals, and they're going to have to overcome adversity, because we're like two injuries away from Mark West having to be activated to play, play big man minutes in this series. That's where we're at, or they're going to be forced to just play extreme small ball at this. I
They're
give
gonna go
Cam
strong
Johnson
small
more
ball.
minutes. I run DA as much as he can until he's either on the verge of foul trouble or has nothing left in the tank.
No more Frank gas left in the Frank the Tank.
Look, man, I would play Frank a little bit, but do it like
You
you did
have
tonight,
to.
2 or 3 or 4 minutes. The Bucks are gonna really press the Brook Lopez Giannis front line. They're not gonna stop doing that. So you got to have a little bit of size. It just gets disheartening when you're 6'6" and you're getting out rebounded by these 7-footers, and so I think Frank's going to end up out there a little bit, and that's okay. You know, we got some land on Kaminsky Cove still. I've been subletting mine, but I do still have some.
I
And
own like
was,
2/3 of that cove, and even
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, let's not do this.
I was ready for some Frank, really angry Frank on press row. I missed that from last year, and but this same Frank Kaminsky, remember, he almost got a triple-double for the Suns in a game this year.
Once upon a time.
The Suns are up 2-0 in the finals. So, you do not play the 20-year-old rookie Jalen Smith. Stop asking. Jesus. But Frank Kaminsky can hold his own for 3 or 4 minutes. Jalen Smith can't play in a regular season game. He's not playing in the finals. But anyway, Frank Kaminsky will get a couple of minutes, and Jay Crowder is going to end up just having to bear the brunt of a lot of this, I think. Cam Johnson may end up getting some center minutes. What would be exciting for me is if the Suns just buy into it and finally let Mikal and Cam play at the same time. Mikal actually made a comment after the last game. We got a whole 45 seconds together, Those guys are like brothers. I mean, you guys have probably seen the little the background stories on these guys. They are thick as thieves, and but Monty just flip-flops them. They trade off time. So the more Mikal plays, the less Cam does. I would love to see Cam just at least try to stick it out in there for a few minutes at a time, not a lot, because even Cam would get broken in half by Brook Lopez and Giannis driving in there. I mean, Giannis might have hyperextend a knee, but I think Cam would end up hyperextending his body. So I worry about that for too much. I think that's all it's going to be. It's going to be a mishmash. There's only 11 Dario minutes we had to worry about. 4 of those can go to DeAndre Ayton. So that only leaves 7. I'm not worried, guys. We're good. It's good.
Thanks for calming me, Dr. Dave. Matthew, what do you think?
Well, I mean, the Suns, I trust them more. I mean, on the road, the Clippers, that last series, like they closed out on the road, and I had anxiety through the walls, dude, to actually play that game and to go through all of that, and they pull it off in Game 6. That means a lot, I think, just for going to the finals. So I'm not too worried as the road, the fans. I mean, I think the fans in Milwaukee are probably better than the Clippers, but I think it's just that first run or so. If they give up the run to where they're knocking down threes, it might be, this might suck. That game might suck. But if they can just stick to their defense and do all the little things on offense like Ayton does, if Ayton can get back in the game, which I know he's going to, because no one's going to be talking about him until the next game, I think it's going to be a good game for the Suns. And honestly, I think that, I don't know. I hope it's Suns as 4. I want it to be Suns at 5 just so they can come back and win it here. But I just get it over with, guys. I
didn't realize
the injuries are coming out, man.
I didn't. Suns in 5, because I didn't realize how much it was going to hurt me to watch them get the Western Conference Championship trophy in LA and not Phoenix. Like I didn't realize.
Billy Crystal was there. That's why Chris Paul did it, right? Billy Crystal.
Just for Billy.
Well, no, I mean, you don't want to come back and take a chance at the Game 7. You don't want to be an elimination.
No, just get over with.
I want it to be 5. I want to do a gentleman's sweep. I want the Bucks to get their little feel-good win, so they feel like they challenged.
I love Dave. You always ever like, let's make everybody feel okay. All right.
Well, no, I want to make
fans
myself
deserve one
feel
win,
okay,
please.
and I want everyone else to feel okay. I want those guys to accept the title, the championship, the Larry O'Brien trophy.